everyone. Welcome back. I know you just saw me 30 seconds ago, but here we go. As promised, we are here with the fantabulous, fantastic, dynamic Dr. Nia Imani Bailey. Look, I had to figure out the.
You are so silly.
That is true. I am. Look, and Abigail Sykes is joining us. So say hello to Abigail.
Abigail, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, and sure. We have Brother Emoja, who
you know
too. Look,
he's hiding his face.
He's hiding his face, and the mic. The mic just went live.
Hello, Dr. Bailey.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hey, Sister Sykes, didn't I just see you just now?
You did. I can't see you though.
We don't see your
what's
face,
my
baby.
phone?
There you
go.
Is that your brother's T-shirt you have on, Miss Dr. Bailey?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Look, I had to figure out how to do it so we can see the Hills. Tell us the name of his company real quick.
4 Hills Junk Removal.
4 Hills, that's it. I know the Hills part.
I know the logo. I see the logo on the shirt, the black shirt.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for jumping over. And I know that our audience is jumping over as well. We were having such a rich conversation. I said, well, let me just invite everybody on over to our party and keep it flowing. All right. So Abigail was just talking about forgiveness and forgiveness as it relates to cancer. And I know that's one of your hot spots right there, and people dealing with chronic illness and forgiveness there. So Brother Emoja, I'm gonna have you just open us up. I know you can't stay with us long for this party, but anything you want to say before we rock and roll?
No, enjoy yourselves.
Okay. See you later, hot stuff.
Okay, I gotta go do some writing.
Okay, get to work.
Good night, ladies.
Nice meeting you.
So, all right. So we're going to get this party started. So I reached out to Dr. Bailey yesterday because I woke up, realized it was October. And I said, oh my goodness, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October is Bullying Awareness Month. October is Interpersonal Violence Awareness. Like it's October. Yeah, and these are things that we usually talk about. And then knowing that Abigail was coming on the show to talk about forgiveness, these are all topics that lead to forgiveness needing to happen. So hopefully Dr. Ramantal will be able to join us as well. But it was like, I need not separate the two shows. I need them to be like one of those SVU crossovers where we bring in different pieces together and bring it all, because it's all about helping and healing our community. So Dr. Bailey we met Dr. Bailey, it was almost a year ago at Kwanzaa. And it was one of those moments where we knew we were supposed to go to this event, but we didn't know why. And being obedient, Abigail talked about doing the forgiveness work, and just it was an obedient call on her life to do. And that's how it was that night. We had to go to this Kwanzaa event, and my husband was like, fine, whatever, let's go. And he met Dr. Bailey first. And as soon as he met her and then introduced me, we instantly knew she was the reason why we had to be there that night. So without further ado, Dr. Bailey, would you please reintroduce yourself to our listening audience?
Absolutely. I'm Nia Imani Bailey. I'm a radiation therapist. I am the president of Bird Cancer Education and Advocacy Foundation. And I am very interested in Miss Abigail's forgiveness in regard to oncology, because what does that mean? That's, yeah.
Go ahead, Abigail. Absolutely. You can fill her in.
It's powerful, as it relates to oncology. I'm trying to, his name is escaping me, and I don't know why, but Michael Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to think of it. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
He was a chaplain at the Cancer Treatment Center of America in Philadelphia. And he was actually one of the first ones that I seen do a topic on forgiveness. He has a book out. It's been out for a while, and the name of it is The Forgiveness Project.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful book. And one of the things that they talked about is when individuals came in and had cancer, they actually had conversations with them, and their goal was to try to figure out what was the issue, what was holding them back. And in that, he talked about, like, out of so many individuals that had cancer, about 65% of them had issues with forgiveness. One particular lady had I think she was in stage 3 breast cancer. It's been a while since I read the book.
Sure.
So I just recommend everybody get it. Stage 3 breast cancer, she was pretty sick. And once he talked to her, he discovered that she had some issues with forgiveness. She had gone on vacation with her husband, and excuse my dog, he's not allowing me to be great right now.
That's all right. We love animals, so we okay. He had something to say.
Exactly. She had gone on vacation with her husband, and they were attacked. Her husband was beaten. He was beaten to death. Her child was beaten. She lost a lot in that event. And I guess at some period later, she ended up with breast cancer. And it was pretty severe. So the chaplain at the hospital started working with her and really getting to exactly what was it that was causing her, so much emotional distress, and determined it was this. And then once they started, like, treating her on an emotional level, she actually came out of breast cancer, and did very well. So there is a relationship between, like, when the cells, as my body needs adequate nutrition, to be able to maintain. We have so many cells that actually grow every, I guess, second or two, and they shut off, and then we get new cells. And then, of course, we get those other cells that are cancerous, and it end up forming tumors and ended up being, cancerous. So it's a matter of really being able to let go of some things emotionally, because emotionally, when we are, the emotional and the physical are tied really together. And there was a poet that said, I think his name is Leo Babuta, and he said, our biggest issue is in our inability to let go, and how the two are really connected. And so when we take on these, these ineffective coping mechanisms, and then we end up with cancer. But when we start to really deal with what's causing us the emotional pain, and physically, we can be so much better off.
Yeah. So true. Go ahead, Dr. Bailey. What's going through your mind?
No, I mean, I think that's deep, because I know a lot of patients say that at the time of their diagnosis, a little prior to, they were beyond stressed. They were at the most stressful point in their life. And then they, now have this disease. But I wonder, like, if you deal with your trauma, if you don't hold on to it, does that prevent certain diseases, or how does that look, Ms. Abigail?
So I think it doesn't. Well, I mean, I guess it could do a little bit of both. It could prevent certain diseases because of the health that you're getting. Like you said, that they were really dealing with stressful situations in their life, right? And if we can help individuals build a toolbox, if we can help them to develop effective coping mechanisms, there's benefits to health. There's benefits to be able to live a healthy life. There's less stress, there's less cancer, there's less diabetes, there's less congestive heart failure. When we are able to just kind of just tune into those areas that really need to be addressed, instead of treating the symptom, we need to learn how to treat the cause. Like, how do we get to the root problem of what it is that we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And so it could really be both. Because, as cancer, sometimes it could be generational. If there's different ways to be able to get cancer. It could be passed down. Mom had breast cancer now,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there's also the mental aspect of it that if we really pay attention, we could really be able to prevent or have better treatment outcomes where we're, in cancer and you're still stressed and you're going through just the emotion of everything. And sometimes individuals are getting cancer for personal things that are going on at home. I've never heard of individuals getting cancer because they're going through a bad divorce,
Right.
all of a sudden, that stress and everything is how do you develop those coping skills so that you can prevent some of these things from happening?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are those coping skills?
So the coping skills are the effective coping skills. There's ineffective coping skills, the ineffective coping skills, and we talked about it in the show earlier. Sometimes it's the ineffective coping skills of food. It's this fatty foods, the sugary food, the salty food, what's in that, and in those things, it gives us the dopamine is the feel good mechanism. So it takes off our dopamine. It makes us feel better in the moment. Right. So it makes us feel better. But then long term, the more I have this fried chicken, because this is what's making me feel better, then it ends up leading to other, other illnesses. So effective coping mechanisms could be like having a nutritional diet, having good nutrition, eating when you're going through stress and you're going through those difficult times, giving your body and your mind the things it needs to be able to actually be able to sustain, your fruits, your vegetables, drinking water, instead of having a Coca-Cola all the time, because that's what makes you feel better. If coping mechanisms could be journaling. Okay, that's one of the other things that I put on is journaling. Writing down, those issues that you're dealing with, because I remember when I was going through my issue, I would wake up after like maybe 2 hours of sleep thinking that I've actually slept all night.
Wow.
And wake up and it's like, oh. And the one thing that I learned to do was journal. And once I put it on paper, then I was able to, roll over and go back to sleep. It's something about just getting it off of you onto paper. Yep, that journal, very important.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's an effective coping mechanism. Reading, walking, seeing a therapist. A lot of times we don't want to see a therapist because, as Black and I think we've gotten better, but I think that because it's like, something's wrong with you. You're crazy. The stigma. Seeing a therapist is another effective coping mechanism. So those are some that really be able to help us to be able to, to focus.
Yeah. So, Dr. Imani, I know you do a tremendous amount of work with the Bird Cancer Foundation, your advocacy work, even around mammograms, specifically with women with denser breast tissue. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Sure. In our community, we typically have dense breasts. Young women typically have dense breasts, and that just means that the radiologist can't confirm or deny that you do or do not have anything. So just really empowering the community, men and women, that when the radiologist does say you have dense breasts, that you need other screenings to determine whether you do or do not have anything. And that looks like ultrasounds or breast MRIs, or even the new technology of BEXA that is radiation free and it's painless and it sees through the density. So it is very accurate, but to really empower everyone that what is said, there needs to be more information behind that. So yes, I have dense breasts, but I need an accurate determination of whether I have something or not. So really empowering our community to learn how to potentially prevent cancer, to treat cancer the proper way, the standard, and how to survive cancer and everything in between. So we talked about mental health, counseling, integrative therapies, yoga, Reiki, nutrition. That is very helpful to learn, not even during the diagnosis and post-diagnosis, but hopefully integrate that so that hopefully you can prevent a diagnosis.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking the power and the importance of creativity, right? And again, another natural way to express oneself. So sometimes it's people knitting or crocheting, it's drawing, it's singing, it's dancing, it's creating journal books and all types, right? Because again, it's a matter of getting it out. I know on the last show, Abigail had talked about when she started doing this forgiveness work, she realized that she had been given her purpose. For you, Dr. Bailey, how did you even get on this journey, and where if you'd like to share, would you say it is in alignment with your purpose?
Absolutely. I got on this journey because my father was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I'm a daddy's girl, so I had to get in the same field that helped my father. He's going to kill me because I'm going to get this number wrong, but a 16, 17-year thriver. So he's doing well. But just everybody in my family pretty much had cancer. My grandma had multiple myeloma. Her brother did. My uncle had breast cancer.
And say that again. You're who?
Uncle.
Yeah, because men can get breast cancer too.
Yeah, my uncle had breast cancer. Grandfather had colon cancer, just all over. And then the people, my friends, have breast cancer, and some have passed, some have thrived. So just being in that space and really wanting to eradicate cancer in some way, shape, or form, or at least get it in a chronic state to where if you are diagnosed, you're not going to die. So that's sort of what drives me. But the driving factor is when, I keep having friends pass away. My one friend passed on my birthday, Rashina, this year. And she was, only 36 years old, and now her two girls don't have a mom. So that's that drives me for sure. I do think I'm in alignment because I can't stop. I can't sleep until we can stop losing our sisters and our brothers as well.
And I think it's so important. We talk about representation. Here you are, a young woman who is so passionate about making people aware of the help and the resources that are available. There was a time, and Abigail, you might remember, where it seemed like cancer was something that was only kind of for older people. So there was like this range where you don't really have to worry about it, so to speak. But we're finding out that we found out that's not the case. And so, Dr. Bailey, for someone such as you, who is seen as a young person, as you are, a young adult, how does that impact the people who you're working with, and when you're bringing awareness to this very real life concern of people?
I think it makes it real that, we are getting diagnosed with breast cancer, advanced breast cancer. And I think it puts in perspective that, okay, maybe I do need to check my body monthly or on the 9th day of my cycle, or I need to look at my breast, and I need to establish a patient-provider relationship and my family about my family cancer history. Depending on that, getting genetic testing, talking about clinical trials with my family and my provider. So I think it puts it in perspective in real time that it can happen to you.
Yeah.
And these are the things that you need to look out for, because God forbid you are to be diagnosed. Hopefully you're diagnosed at a lower stage, which is your prognosis. But I think it really just puts in perspective that, I'm you, you're me. We see each other in ourselves. And I think they agree that I care, because we all could be doing anything else, but I think we're all in alignment with our purpose.
And
when people talk to us and hear us and see us, they know that we could be doing anything else, but we genuinely care. The love that we have for others, we're trying to make a difference and trying to save lives.
Definitely. Abigail, anything you want to add to that or any questions you have for Dr. Bailey?
I guess I would just probably add that as you're speaking, an early detection is key,
Yeah.
and it's very important for us to, if, like you said, you're going to get cancer or breast cancer or whatever type of cancer, is to be able to really just pay attention to your body and understand when you have those changes that occur, to really pay attention to that, because that could be something that, it could be cancerous. It may not be, but it's always important to be on the, be safe first.
Yeah.
I just think that that's just so crucial, and I love what you're doing, and I think I know that it is needed, and also understanding the resources that are available. When you talk about, like, even in African Americans, we have a higher rate of, like, almost everything. We are the, in every disease. It's like, why is that? Why are we, And so when you really think about it, and going back into some of the history of what are the things that we were taught to eat then. It's one of the things I talk to people about too, like, what are the things that we're taught to eat that are not really nutritional for us? We love to be able to have our huge Easter Sunday dinner, with fried chicken and ham hocks and greens, and those are things that we were taught to eat when back in slavery, chicken and cornbread, and still some of those things that we're still eating today, and it's not really, nutritional for us, and it's not helping us. This high salt content that's in things that individuals need to be with, the sugar that's in things, and so being able to really understand those things, and like I said earlier, those things make us feel better, and sometimes we eat that and we go sit on the couch and we go to sleep, because it's like everybody sleep because the bellies are full,
That's right. That's right.
And so it's just really important for us to be able to have a general understanding of all these things and how they play a part.
Yeah.
And it's just needed.
I love this conversation because it's sparking so many thoughts in my mind. And so even as talking about getting treatment, or excuse me, going to the doctor because you feel like something might be wrong. Let's just start there. We're not even into the treatment yet. We ain't even into a diagnosis yet. We just going because we don't feel good. We feel like something is off. And then sometimes we delay that initial assessment. And then you find out that there is something. And had you gone months before, you may have been able to prevent something or have a different course of treatment. The amount of forgiveness that has to happen in that moment with self, as well as any family members or loved ones. Like, many times we're not thinking about the interconnected nature of those things. And I can only imagine, Dr. Bailey, I'm going to turn to you first and Abigail second. Have you heard people say, if I had only, I should have, right? And then now they're looped in this guilt shame cycle. Go ahead, Dr. Bailey.
Absolutely. I hear it all the time. And I tell them to give themselves grace. I think we all do it. We all say that we can, I got to take care of my husband first, or my children, or my son. I'm too busy to stop and sort of pour into myself. And you can't go back. You don't read that chapter again.
Yeah.
Just go forward. And even hear it with, I pushed the doctor. I told the doctor something was wrong. And then I went to 3 doctors, and now finally they found something. And that forgiveness of forgiving the physicians that sort of blew them off. My friend who passed away, she went to her gynecologist saying that she felt a lump, and her gynecologist said she was too young for breast cancer. So she went a year of nothing. She went back to the doctor to get her IUD taken out to start having a family. The doctor did a routine exam, felt her breast, eyes got big, and it turned out she had triple negative breast cancer. So she had no time to save her eggs. She went right into chemo, surgery, radiation. Months later, she had a tumor that went to her brain, and she is no longer here. So
Wow.
in those moments of how do I forgive,
Yeah.
so I possibly could still be here. And now Jacqueline Smith is not. So I think
Yeah.
what I hear more often than not, that they did not, I tried to advocate for myself,
Yes.
but
Yes.
they did not listen to me.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, right? Forgiveness of the specific medical person, medical team, medical industry, right? Because when you are raging, everybody's getting it. So such a good point. Abigail, thoughts, comments?
I just think that it's unfortunate that we have those physicians that really don't pay attention to us, and in the African American community, if sometimes for us they don't listen, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because you're thinking, okay, so if I go to my doctor and she says that everything's fine, I'm too young to have breast cancer, then you're thinking, okay, that's a relief because you really want to hear, that's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't have cancer. Okay, the doctor said I'm fine, but then to go back and find out, okay, well, you do have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that really for us, unfortunately, we have to take the next step. Sometimes that's getting a
Several
second
steps.
opinion.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And sometimes that's getting a second opinion,
Mhm.
really paying attention to it by talking to someone else about it. I have this,
Mhm.
and really get an understanding too that sometimes the doctor, they just don't get it right. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we want them to, but they just don't get it right.
Yeah. Yeah. But like you said, consistently advocating for self and speaking up for self until you finally feel seen, until you finally feel heard, and until you finally feel treated well. And that
Right.
may mean going to multiple places. I know, as I was looking for my OBGYN at one point, I started calling out to my different girlfriends and I was like, who are you going to? What is your relationship like with them? Because are you feeling seen and heard and listened to and understood? I need that experience in my life on all levels of care. Same thing with the dentist. I cracked a tooth a couple years ago eating some cheap popcorn. I should have gone with that Garrett's. Garrett, you need me to endorse you. I'm happy to do so. Right? And at Garrisonville, Chicago, that's a different type of popcorn. And Dr. Wade, God bless her, she was sending me numbers too, like go to this person, and I was trying this person and that person, and everybody was okay, but I still felt I didn't feel like it was my fit. I was feeling like Goldilocks. Right. It was like, it's okay, but it ain't quite it. It ain't. And then finally, I ended up asking, of all people, my mother's physical therapist at the time. And she was like, she asked me how I was doing, and I was honest. And I said, not doing so great. I cracked a tooth. And she said, oh, my boyfriend's a dentist.
Amazing.
Exactly. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
And went, and he was and is a godsend. And he was just like, and I felt like I finally had a dental team, right? And I was like, but at first I felt like I was piecemealing, like, here's this person and here's this person. I was like, why am I doing all of the work? Where are the referrals? Where's the assistant? And now that was just with a tooth, which is very stressful because y'all know I run my mouth and I smile wide. So I need my teeth good,
Right.
let alone even scarier health condition where if I felt like I was on my own, would I have the endurance to persevere and to build this health system that I need to support me during this time? And so, Dr. Bailey, before we get ready to transition to part 2 of this show, what are some things that you recommend for people? What are some considerations that they need to do? Some best next steps?
Always know your body.
Mm-hmm.
100% inside and out, what it feels like during week 1, 2, 3, 4. Always advocate for yourself. If you know your family cancer history, please provide that to your doctor. Find that relationship. I have a very good relationship with my doctor, how she might know my body better than me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it should be. And like Miss Abigail said, you want to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't smoke. Don't drink a lot of alcohol. Don't drink a lot of sugary drinks and sugary foods. If you're of a certain age, breastfeed for at least a year. That all those things prevent your chances of not only getting cancer, but of other diseases as well. So you want to be in your best state. But I just wanted to say also too, with Miss Abigail saying about forgiveness, there's a lot of times when I don't forgive myself as a medical provider when patients don't do well and they pass on, because I feel like we can go to the moon. So how can we not treat this patient?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I think that's important. Go ahead, Abigail. I know you got something to say in response to that.
Okay. So I was going to say in regards to, I agree with you when you say, no, you have a good relationship with your doctor. I really think that is crucial. Your primary care physician. I have a great primary care physician, and I truly do believe in appreciate the doctors of obstetrics, the DOs, because they really kind of focus on holistically how to keep you, how to prevent things from happening. My doctor will keep things on records and say, okay, it's time. And she'll send me a year later, okay, it's time for you to get this follow-up test done. Well, I've forgotten about it, And so I think it's really crucial, to be able to have that. And if you don't have a good relationship with your doctor, then really it's time to just get another one.
Yeah.
Because you really need them. Yeah, that's a real problem. You need them to really be able to listen to you. You need to feel heard. They need to be understanding and just really go to that next step. Okay, this is what you said. Let's look into it. It doesn't take much just to look into it. Get that test done,
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I agree. Dr. Imani, how do people get in contact with you? How do they follow you? And please tell them about the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast.
Dr. Nia Imani or Bird Cancer Foundation on social media. And the Humanitarian Heartbeat Podcast is the podcast that it's mine, whatever.
It's fantastic. I'm not going to let you do that to your show. And those links are in the write-up on the YouTube page. You can access links to her Instagram pages. You can also links to the YouTube podcast page as well. So please be sure to go ahead and subscribe and support her. She does incredible work year round. Occasionally, do you have any events coming up anytime soon?
I'm part of Journey for Two and their board, so they have an event October 12th in Tampa. So if you're in that area, go there October 12th, a breast cancer health event. Bex is going to be there, other health vendors and screening. So Tampa, Journey for Two. And she's phenomenal too, because she was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was pregnant. So
wow.
That's also a thing. And her baby are both beautiful and doing well.
Fantastic. Perfect. And Abigail, please again provide people with how they can get in contact with you and how they can purchase your book.
Okay, so you can get in contact with me on my website, which is forgivinggiftswellness.com. And my book, Purposeful Healing, is available also on Amazon. And so on the website too, you can actually be able to find the book as well.
Yeah, show them that cover again so they recognize it when they see it.
Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And it's a really good, it's not a long read, but it really just kind of gets to the point. And, I think I just welcome you with, reading on your healing journey.
Yes. Thank you. Well, we're going to stay on, but we're going to shift shows. We're now coming over into Planner's Knowledge, if you notice that brand change right there.
I love it.
Love it. Yes.
And Dr. Imani did not mention that she is an author also. And so what are the names of your books, Dr. Imani, and where can people get them?
Father in heaven, Love Thy Neighbor and Letters to My Younger Self, and you can get it on Amazon.
Yes. Fantastic. So I reached out to her yesterday via, actually Edmund was like, you need Dr. Imani to interview you. about your book. And so um, it's going to be a shift. I call it turning the tables. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Dr. Imani.
Thank you. Thank you. I always say first with you because you are just absolutely amazing. Number one, when did you decide or how did you decide that you wanted to be an author?
Hmm. So it wasn't until I would say the seed was planted in 2006. So I was doing volunteer work in New Orleans and Mississippi post Katrina.
Wow.
And I had met someone. So when it happened, they had gotten a cruise ship, and a lot of people were living on the cruise ship because obviously the area was so devastated. So this became a place. And so I was doing a workshop actually on the cruise ship to encourage and empower people. And one of the people who ended up working on the ship heard me speaking. And he pulled me to the side and he said, "When are you writing a book?" And I was like, "I'm not writing a book." And he said to me, and when I tell you the seed went deep, he said, "When will you realize that there's an audience just for you?"
Whoa.
Yes. And that was when the seed was planted. And it just kept resonating in my ear throughout the years. So that was 2006. In 2009, I was exhausted. I had been caring for my mother who had had her first stroke. I was president of the Delaware Valley Association of Black Psychologists. I had just finished that run. I was working full time. I had a private practice. I had taken one of my mentees in. I was spent and I just needed to rest. And I was just like, I'm gonna just spin this globe, and wherever my finger lands, that's where I'm going. So I spun the globe, and my finger landed on Savannah first. I love Savannah, but I was like, I want to go somewhere where I don't speak the language, so nobody will talk to me.
Understood.
Right? Because people will talk to me and I'm gonna talk back. So let me go somewhere where not. And I was telling my family this, and my older brother, he was like, "I got you." And so a friend of his, and they still do, they run trips to Brazil. And so I ended up going to Sao Paulo, Brazil. And my instructions were very clear, divine instructions to rest and not go anywhere for 5 days.
Wow.
And so I stayed in for 5 days. And then on that sixth day, the message came and said, "Now write." And I went out on the balcony and I proceeded to just write everything that came. And I just wrote. And then somewhere in the midst of that day, I pulled out a section and I crafted that section. And that section turned into the first book, The Greatest Soul Journey. And it's a workbook style journal. And my host, who was there to help me translate Portuguese and everything, I said, "Can you do me a favor? Can you read this and work through it and tell me what it's like for you?" Because we weren't going out, we were staying in. And she was a physical trainer, and she went into one of the bedrooms, and when she came out, she was flustered, face red, sweating like she had been in there doing aerobics for the past 2-3 hours. And she looked at me and she said, "I have never read anything like this before in my life. This has changed my entire life. And I just don't know what to say other than thank you." And at that point, it was just sitting on my computer.
Wow.
And then I came home and I reached out to a friend of mine who had just self-published. So this is 2009. So this is all before Amazon, KDP. This is where you had to hire an independent publishing company to publish your stuff. So you had to put out some money. And so I went to her. She told me the place that she liked. I then contacted the owner of that company and I said, who edits your stuff?
Ooh. You said, I'm not playing.
I'm not playing. And so he told me who edits his stuff. And I sent her an email and she hit me right back. And she was like, and at this point now, my father's in the hospital.
Wow.
So I'm literally at the University of Pennsylvania having this email exchange, and I have to deal with trust because now I'm taking my intellectual property, emailing it to somebody who I don't know that lives in a whole nother state. But we still keep in contact to this day. Wow. And I refer people to her all the time. And so that was the very first book, so 2009. But that seed was planted in 2006. But if I go all the way back, it actually started when I was in grade school. In second and third grade, I used to write stories for the kindergarten. And I would write and I would ask, can I go down to the preschool, nursery, and kindergarten and read my stories? And my teachers would let me do that.
That is beautiful. So it's as if it was already written. That's
right.
Your story.
That's right. I just didn't know it.
Did you ever feel like while taking care of your mother and your father is in the hospital and you are the CEO of the world, that your book helped you too?
Yeah, I did, because so the greatest soul journey, and the greatest stands for God restores excellence, activates talents, encourages spiritual transformation. So it was my spiritual journey and what I noticed about that. And so like I said, it's a workbook style journal. So it was getting clear with, who is God to me and what does God mean to me, but also knowing clinically, having dealt with so many people in my life, everybody's definition, understanding, and relationship isn't the same, but it's a key aspect of so many people's lives. And as a clinician, I wanted to tap into that. And as a person, I was tapped into that, but I needed to see how was it working for me.
Wow.
Right. And so I documented my journey through my spiritual growth and development. And that's the greatest, literally, that's the greatest soul journey.
So would you say the greatest soul journey is your greatest soul journey, or
what?
Or not? After going through the workbook, will I figure out my greatest soul journey, or is it ever changing?
Yep, it is. So it's definitely an evergreen book, and it never goes out of style, even for yourself, because as you grow, develop, and evolve, you are then potentially changing your answers. You're seeing what is true and consistent for you. And I remember one person, as she was going through it, she had answered, because like I said, I give you food for thought, and then I also ask you questions and give you space to write it. And she answered one question and she went to the next question, and then she answered it and she said, if this is true, then that can't be true. Wow. So then she had to go back and have her, for her, she's Christian, so she had to have her come to Jesus moment. I like how you that. and say, well, if that ain't it, then what is it? And really begin to look at it. Because I'll ask questions like, what were you taught about God? And how have you experienced God? And many times that creates two different responses.
That's very interesting, because I just had a conversation with my family that sometimes in the South, God is taught sort of like fearful, like you gotta trust him and you gotta, or he's gonna spite you. But my experience of God is he don't play about me. Right. And, and he's so majestic and he's so loving and so graceful, because I know a lot of times he'd be shaking his head at me.
Yes.
So is that how you feel, Dr. Walls?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Miss Abigail too.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm gonna let Miss Abigail turn her mic on first before I answer that.
Okay, my connection was starting to act up. I didn't know if you could see that. But that is so true when you think about the, what were you taught about God and your experience,
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I remember when I was in college, I went to Tuskegee. There goes the dog again.
He's co-signing. Like, yeah, you went to
That's
Tuskegee.
right.
Right.
That's right. We're gonna rep Tuskegee. My parents went to Tuskegee for their graduate degree, so we all good. We all good.
Yes, and wonderful. So then, I've been taught. I was taught about God. I was taught, what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to respond to God and how you're supposed to pray. And I was taught those things. And then when I went to Tuskegee, I remember I went down. I really didn't have like any money. I was like, Lord, I'm going on faith. And I was, moving from Pennsylvania where I lived and going, to Tuskegee.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going on faith. I'm just gonna just trust you,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it came a point where I needed money and I need to be able to pay for it, semester. Otherwise, you're going home. I had a girlfriend that went with me, and she ended up going home. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm next. What am I gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And my experience with God in that moment, I remember going to the bursar's office and financial aid and all this. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I just don't have the money,
Mm-hmm.
My mom had passed away some years ago, with colon cancer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went down and I talked to them and they said, I told them, I said, I need a job. Maybe that'll help me. I need a job to be able to, I don't know what I thought that was going to pay, other than. So I said, I don't know, and so what they said was, okay, you can work, you can give you a job, but you have, your tuition has been paid. You actually have enough money to get a check back. And that was God. That was my experience. I left there like, I get to stay. I get to, get my education. It was in that moment of trusting him, and going on, and he just delivered. So those are experiences that I have. And even with, what I'm doing with forgiveness, those are my experience of what he says he's going to do, and he just asks us to have that faith of a mustard seed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that experience is really what's key. We can tell our kids all day long to do this and do, but until they experience it, it doesn't click.
That's so true. And right. And to go along with that, right, I know God has me, and I know my experience with God has been different than what I've been told by people in different places and spaces. And we didn't grow up in church, so I didn't have that as a guiding system, but I did go to Catholic school, and I did have friends who were of different faiths. And so I had those experiences, but they many times were not similar to my internal relationship with God. And so understanding that, I also understood that everybody had their own individualized relationship. And even if we go from a biblical standpoint, Abraham's relationship with God was very different than, Paul's relationship with God, which was different than, Mary's relationship. And so it was like, I don't think that changed. I think we all have our own relationship with God, but I don't know. But whatever your relationship is with God, if you are acknowledging and accepting that there is a God,
right,
whatever, if that's the case, how is that working for you? Because ultimately, the whole purpose of, for me, the greatest soul journey is for you to live your greatest life. So is your belief system working for you, or is your belief system working against you? And as long as it stays up here, generally it makes sense. That's the same way we stay in relationships that don't make no doggone sense. But it makes sense up here. But when we write it down, What'd you say?
So that's the next episode.
That's right. But when we write it down and we see it in writing, then all of a sudden we can't deny what we're seeing. And it's like, dang, that's say 2 plus 2, and we got 75. That don't add up. What am I doing? So, yeah. There you go.
Wow. So, in your soul journey,
Yes,
you didn't stop there.
of course not. Because my soul wasn't finished. So it had to be the first book.
What's the second?
Right. So then the second book was or is Live by the Spirit, Inspired Thoughts, Volume 1. And so, well, go ahead. You ask the question. I'm sorry.
What does that mean? And not only what does that mean, as an author, are your books led by spirituality?
Yeah. So great question. So Abigail, as you can tell, I'm used to driving the ship, and so giving that mic over, right? Y'all bear with me.
Right,
Y'all
it's okay. Me. You know how to handle it.
You're still the captain. It's okay.
I got a co-pilot tonight. I asked her. I knew the one that could help me. So to answer your question, so with this one, Live by the Spirit, it actually it started. I was blogging, and I had a blog called Live by the Spirit. And it was those inspired thoughts. You know how all of a sudden when something just makes sense to you and you're able to actually capture it in the moment, and that's what it was. And I know when I have those experiences and I share those experiences with others, it makes them think about things, and then they capture their experience, and then they glean and learn from that, and then they can apply it to their life to make their life better. So that's what Live by the Spirit was about. And so I went back into some of those old blog posts and I captured it. And it's volume 1 because the intention is to pull some of the other ones. I found the ones that kind of had similar themes and put it together. And then the goal is that there'll be other volumes that come out. So that
is amazing. But are all your books based off of spirituality, or?
So I would say they started out that way, and there's always going to be a component of that, because literally the first line of The Greatest Soul Journey is humanity is the starting point on the way to divinity. So I ascribe to we are spirit beings. I ascribe to, right, the spirit lives inside of me, and the physical is the vessel through which the spirit works. So with that being said, then I acknowledge myself in the writings by writing from a spiritual space. And so even with my Hey, Mr. Ricks, even with my children's book series, The Adventures of Froggy-T and Bunnie, a hip hop tale, they're divinely downloaded. And how do I know that they're divinely downloaded? There's one book that will be coming out sometime between now and 2029, because I release about one book a year. And the subject matter, like the character that I was given to create, it's I'll tell you, there's a thing about teeth and about losing teeth, and so therefore he's not fearful of the dentist. And when I did my research about, and it's a kangaroo, and when I did my research about kangaroos, it turns out kangaroos go through several sets of teeth in their lifetime, and they go from the back to the front, and then they lose them. I never knew that. I would not know that. Wow. So it was just
divine.
Yes. Yes.
So let's just backtrack real quick, because you just mentioned Froggy-T and Bunnie as if it's not a series. It's not.
Yes.
What's happening? Talk about Froggy-T and Bunnie.
My babies, The Adventures of Froggy-T and Bunnie. So there is the reunion, which was book number 1. There is Feeling Feelings. There's Bunnie Gets Bullied. There is where is she? There it is. Froggy Foo and Mungu. And then the one that came out this year in May is Careless Clueless Colt.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that showed up in the mail yesterday,
Oh, congratulations.
thank you, is the Coloring and Activity book. And then there's the hardcover journals. Yes,
Wow.
with different covers. So this is just the Bunnie one, but there's a Froggy-T one, and then there's a Froggy-T and Bunnie one, and then there's a Dream one. And so yeah, so we got all types of stuff. So I'm very excited.
That is amazing. Tell us the purpose, the essence of the adventures of Froggy-T and Bunnie.
Mm-hmm. So to teach social skills, coping skills, emotional intelligence, relatability, right? These are all what we often consider soft skills, but are the hardest skills to learn. And so we need relatability. And so the Adventures of Froggy-T and Bunnie provide relatable stories and stories that start conversations. And I think that's what's so important, because so many times people don't know how to start a conversation, right? And be it with loved ones, be it with little ones, but you want to find out, what are you thinking and feeling? And these are those books. And I use them with people of all ages. I use them with my executive leaders to help them build their teams. I use them with adult males to help them with siblings and or romantic relationship stuff. I use them with little kids to get them to talk. I use them with tweens, which I know can be a hard age. But yeah, those are those books.
What do the books teach us?
Mm-hmm. So they teach you social skills. They teach you the mind, body, feelings, connection. So, right. So when Bunnie Gets Bullied, and I'm happy to share that one tonight, we look at how the bullying experience impacts her mentally, right? Her thoughts. It impacts her feelings. She's scared, she's nervous, and it impacts her body, how it causes her heart rate to increase. As a rabbit, it causes her tail to fluff up. So even in the stories, I try to add facts about animals in there as well. So for instance, when, rabbits get nervous, they begin to thump, and then their tail fluffs up, and then and then they dart when they run, so that the flash throws the predator off.
So everything. Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Miss Abigail? Go ahead.
I was going to say, wow, that is just, I didn't know that. And that's the reason why they just kind of jump, it throws the predators off.
Yeah.
And just how.
See that flash. Right? Yeah, go ahead.
Wow, that is powerful.
Yeah.
I just think it's just awesome to be able to just have, and then to have like like they all connected. It sounds like they're all connected. And you talked about social skills. And I thought about that when you were talking about the different books and how it develops social skills. And we really need social skills, and our kids need social skills. Everything is just on the phone now, and we're getting all of our information from our cell phones. To be able to have these books and to be able to develop the social skills, even from a young age, it's like really crucial. And I think it's just, oh, wow, that's really good.
And in the back of
Congratulations.
Every book, thank you. In the back of every book, there's a glossary. And then there's also processing questions. So they can do those questions on their own. So to increase self-awareness, self-reflection, go find the answers in the book. But they also work as conversation starters. So an older sibling can work with a younger sibling. A mother, a parent can work with the children. The parents can take this into the room with themselves and be like, yo, we just read this, but let's talk.
Yeah.
And, right. So again, they are all They are all stories to start conversations.
That's
Because
good.
again, right, we're the culmination of every age that we've ever been. And so we've been through this. Or we've heard people who've gone through these types of things.
That is amazing. And does the Adventures of Froggy-T and Bunnie sort of represent your life in some way? Because in every book
Yes.
has represented what you have gone through.
Yeah.
It's the same with
Yeah.
the Adventures of Froggy-T
Yeah.
and Bunnie.
So definitely. So it started out as the reunion, which was the first one, started out as a poem to my business mentor, Dr. Thomas Gordon. I did not want to give him a birthday card. I had given him birthday cards, but I wanted to give him something different.
Mhm.
So I said, oh, I'll write him a poem. So I wrote him a poem. And then as I read it, I was like, dang, this would make a good children's story if I flesh it out some more. And so in the story, I talk about Bunnie because he calls me Bunnie because he says I have more energy than an Energizer Bunny. And I said, in the poem, I say something like, but now I dub you Froggy-T because you're always hopping along with me. And so that's where Froggy-T came from. So yeah, and then I realized, right, it says the adventures, which means more than one. So it was an internal signal to self that this is not a one and done type thing. And as I found the illustrators, Milton and his team in St. Lucia, and I remember this one picture that I saw, and as soon as I saw the picture, my my mind just began to see more than the moment. And it was this picture here. And when I saw this picture, all of a sudden I was like, there's fish. And what's going on behind this hill? And my mind just opened up. And then that's when feelings came flooding out. And then I went into the studio because I have voiceover artists for, the reunion is in print and it's also in animation. And when we were in the studio with the voiceover artist, Stephanie, who plays the voice of Bunnie, she says, Bunnie better have my money. And it did not leave my mind. And I went home that night, and that's when I wrote Bunnie Gets Bullied.
Wow.
And then after Bunnie Gets Bullied, so Feeling Feelings was already written, and that's about Froggy-T waking up in a bad mood. He says something that sets Bunnie off, and then she's got to navigate all the feelings that she's experiencing. So then my mother kept saying, with Bunnie Gets Bullied, oh, I would just, snatch that little one up. I would do this, I would do that. And I said, but Mom, I'm trying to teach something other than violence. And so she was just like, I don't care. All you got to do is get one. Just get one and the rest will leave you alone. But. My mother's from North Philly, Abigail. So she was like, okay. She like, look, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And she's an Aries, so she's all fire and war. So I'm just like, Mom, I'm trying to teach something different. That's easy to retaliate that way. It's harder to build up self-control, self-management, and so forth. So, but I had to honor that response is real, right? When people are bullied, you do want to do something like that. So that's what actually led to Froggy Foo and Mungu, because that one opens up with the day Bunnie was bullied. She called Froggy-T sounding so upset. As her friend, he wanted to do something that he wouldn't regret. To be honest, some retaliation thoughts did cross his mind, and he thought about turning into Froggy Foo just one more time. So they are all connected. They're hip hop tales because they all rhyme. And part of the fun is finding the rhyming pattern in the book, which helps build fluency and vocabulary. I push vocabulary. I'm an early childhood educator. I push vocabulary, but that's also why I put the glossary at the end of the book.
Everything that you have ever done is so intentional. Does that come from your divine connection?
Yes. Very, very. Because I am purposeful that I want to be a vessel. So then therefore, what's coming through me, and I'm understanding that I'm touching people's lives, and I pray daily that I am touching people's lives in a positive way. So even with the coloring book, it initially started out as just that, a coloring book. And literally, I heard clearly, when you have their attention, you have to teach them something. And so I said, okay. So then I said, well, you know what? I'll just add, right? I'll add turtle at the bottom. So this way they can learn, and they can learn how to spell turtle. And then I was like, okay. So I did that. And then I tried to go to sleep. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, you can also teach them the type of animal. So, right, what type of animal am I? And then it was like, okay, that's fine. And I tried to go to sleep again. And then it was like, nope. It was like, you can practice rhyming words with them. So, right, here's the character. What does it rhyme with? And so taking the opportunity to build while they're learning and making learning so much fun and engaging.
Dr. Walls, everybody. God knew what he was doing when he made you. I mean, that's where do I have a mic to drop it? I mean, I think if there's one thing that people learn, is to hear God's voice. Be obedient once you hear it. Be okay with his direction and you being used as the vessel. And he will put you on an assignment.
Come on.
And you just got to complete them. And I think exactly what you have done, Dr. Walls, in particular with your authorship, you have been nothing but obedient. You are very intentional. And it is all divinely.
Yeah. And
amazing.
Yeah, and it is a choice, in Live by the Spirit, volume 1, there's so many pieces. I'll do spirit language just because it's short. But the third story that I share says, when we live by the Spirit, we have chosen to partner with something greater than our physical selves. When we think of the Spirit, we often think of something that is not physical, something that cannot be contained, and something that does not have physical limitations. Take a moment and think about the endless possibilities of partnering with something that is limitless, boundless, and is not constricted or restricted by time or space. Ask Spirit to speak to you. Know that Spirit speaks in a variety of ways. Some people say they hear a still small voice inside of them. Others say they feel a push or an urge to do something. Give yourself time to sit still, listen, and move to the inner guidance that is speaking to you. This guidance and direction may come to you in a dream, when watching or listening to a television or radio show, while spending time in nature, or during an unexpected conversation. Once you activate and partner with Spirit, your guidance and direction will come in many forms. So be ready. God bless and live by the Spirit.
Another mic drop.
Wow.
And the question is, where can we purchase?
Everything is available on Amazon.com. And you can always go to my website, askdrwalls.com, AskDrWalls.com, and there's a tab for books. You'll see my publishing company, Planners Knowledge, or you'll see the Froggy-T and Bunnie tab, and you can click on that and then click on the links, and they'll take you there for sure.
I love it. Awesome. You are absolutely amazing.
So y'all want to hear Bunnie Gets Bullied? Oh, I'm sorry, Abigail.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So let me pull up Bunnie Gets Bullied so y'all can get a taste of, let's see here. It is Bullying Awareness Month, which we know is very, very important. So many people have experienced bullying in their lives and in different ways, and not just as children.
Right.
And it's important that we take the time and acknowledge that. And sometimes people will say, well, it's, words don't hurt you the same way that a physical bullying experience will, but it is just as impactful,
Yeah.
and sometimes
Mhm.
even more impactful because people are told that it shouldn't be as impactful. And so we have to be mindful of that and that we address it. And so, again, any type of awareness around this becomes important. I've also had adults who were bullied in the workspace, right? And so it becomes important that they receive help also. And a lot of times people are embarrassed by it. And I encourage people, don't be embarrassed by it. Get the help that you need. I don't care how old you are, just keep asking for the help that you need so that you are not constantly living in that state of fear and frustration and all of that. It is bullying's not okay at any age or at any level.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
all right, I am getting ready to pull up the piece here. Let me grab it. Abigail, any questions or comments before we go into this one?
I guess just what came to my mind when you just said about words, and sometimes words hurt more, than the physical. I remember
Mhm.
growing up and we used to say this thing. I don't know if you've ever heard it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You know,
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
and we used to say that, but that's not true because
It's
words do
not.
hurt.
That's right. You're
You
absolutely
can
right.
carry that with you. People carry words with them for
Mhm.
forever. It's what
Yep.
someone says to you that, that's really gotten us to a place where we just kind of just shut down
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
have. I've heard so many people who talk about being scarred when they were younger by things that were said, and it shrunk their voice. And so I encourage people to reclaim their voice without question. So, all right, without further ado, here comes Bunny Gets Bullied. Please let me know if you're able to hear everything.
Bunny was on her way home from school one day when she heard something that made her run away. The happy song that she normally hopped to was being disrupted by something uncomfortable and new. This sound came from outside of her being. She heard it before she even started seeing those responsible for this unnerving noise. Then she turned the corner and saw it was the dreadfully mean Bull Lee boys. There was Bull Lee Ray, Bull Lee Tim, and baby Bull Lee Jerome, who actually said,
Bunny, you better run on home.
they laughed, pointed, and sang a song that made her cower, thump, and run along. Each of them a different size, singing together, trying to harmonize. The message that they began to send let Bunny know that she was not their friend. Their song was so frightening, intimidating, and scary that Bunny's tail fluffed up and got really hairy. The white of her tail began to flash, and she ran home like she was in a 100-meter dash. The whole time, the Bull Lee brothers laughed and thought it was funny, and they kept on singing.
Bunny better have my money. Bunny better have my money.
Bunny had never felt so scared before. She hopped so fast she dropped her books at the front door. Her mother said,
Bunny, what's wrong, my dear?
she could see in Bunny's eyes that Bunny was filled with fear.
Mom, it was awful. They kept singing that song. I felt threatened and nervous as I hopped along. My heart was racing and my breath got heavy. This bullying experience, I was not ready. Mom, what am I supposed to do? I don't know how to handle a bully. Do you?
Bunnie and her mother talked for a while as they cut up carrots into a large pile. Her mother knew that talking would help Bunnie calm down, and cutting the carrots would give Bunnie a chance to expound on her thoughts and feelings about the day and how maybe she could make the bullies go away. That night, as Bunnie lay in her bed, she thought about what her mother had said.
Bunny, some bullies were once bullied too, and their being mean really isn't about you.
She asked Bunnie if there had been a conflict that wasn't resolved, but Bunnie explained they had never been involved. Her mother reminded her that she hadn't done anything wrong and that some don't know how to get along. She looked at Bunnie and told her to
Always be brave. And although you might want to bully back, that's not the best way to behave.
Bunnie's mother even said that she was proud Bunnie asked for her help instead of hiding what happened inside and dealing with it by herself. Before she drifted off to sleep in her bed, Bunnie journaled and imagined how she could handle this situation in her head. The next day, when it was time to go to school, Bunnie still felt nervous, but tried to play it cool. She kept thinking about the day before and hesitated before she walked out the door. Down the usual path she went before she heard someone say,
That smells like a familiar scent.
it was the Bully brothers back at it again, but this time would be different because she was with a friend. As Bunnie hopped closer, the Bully brothers were surprised to see that she was walking with her best bud, Froggy-T. At first, Bunnie wanted to run and hide, but then Froggy-T said,
Remember your pride.
so Bunnie stopped hopping and took some deep breaths. That helped her to stop worrying and let her nerves get some rest. Bunnie could feel herself starting to think, and she noticed her knees stop going clinkety clink clink. As they stood under the tree, Froggy-T played a song that helped Bunnie process and become calm. Froggy-T then turned to Bunnie and said,
Don't let the bully brothers' mean words stay in your head. Bunny, remember, you're brave and courageous too. So don't let the bully brothers or their song scare you.
at that very moment, her courage to face her fears started to grow. And it helped that she didn't have to face the Bully brothers solo. She refused to be a victim all over again and knew this bullying experience had to come to an end. Froggy-T and Bunnie talked about taking a different path, and Froggy-T even tried to make Bunnie laugh. But Bunnie knew this fear she had to face so she could get back to her life's rhythm and hopping at her own pace. So Bunnie took some more deep breaths and closed her eyes. Knowing that overcoming this fear would be the prize, she activated her internal valor, which enabled her to walk by the Bully brothers and not cower. She said to herself,
They will leave me be when they see that they don't have any power over me.
and sure enough, Bunnie began to feel stronger. The fear that was there had gone and existed no longer. The Bully brothers eventually stopped singing, and Bunnie returned to her normal state of being. She was back to being calm, cool, and courageous too. So that's the story about how Bunnie handled the Bully brothers. What would you do?
Amazing. Amazing.
Good. And I love the music. It's very good. Very, very good story.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Mm.
yeah. So I think go ahead, Dr. Imani. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna
No,
wait.
no, you're fine. I was just saying that's absolutely amazing. Once again, everything about everything is just so intentional. The music, the rhyming, the lesson, to talk it out with your parent, and it's okay to be yourself and be calm. You don't have to react. Just everything is just beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very intentional, even down to the carrots.
Mhm.
Because, they were cutting carrots and they put them in a pile. Like, that's just very,
That's
that
it.
was good. That was
That's
intentional.
it.
Yeah.
Right. Because what happens is, and I teach this to parents, that if you're doing an activity with children, it takes the focus off of them and the fearfulness and the nervousness. It moves it from more of a conscious conversation to a subconscious conversation, and they just start to talk. So if you do an activity, if you notice they're not looking eye to eye, so she's not feeling judged in any way. She's listening. And then the mother's able to drop some seeds in there as well, and guidance. And you never know when they're going to be open, but letting them know that you're open to hearing what were they thinking, what were they feeling. So it's teaching parenting skills at the same time that it's teaching the child to be open and talk about it and not hold it in. As she said, her mother was very proud of her for not holding it in and trying to deal with this all by herself. Because, as we talked about in the previous show, it's not good for your health, right? It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your physical well being. Because, as she's talking about, her heart was racing, her breath got heavy. Like, is this a panic attack or is this real? I don't know. I've never experienced any of this before. It's also a place for parents and families to talk about values. Like she said, look, although you might want to bully back, that's not the best way to behave. I'm not teaching you that. You talked about accountability when it comes to forgiveness and what part did I play in contributing to this. Her mother asked her, was there a conflict that hadn't been resolved? Like, let's go back and find out. Was you popping off? Was there something that happened? She said, no, mom, we've never been involved. Okay, so she's taking the time to look at what parts of this ownership do I have. I was also very intentional about Froggy-T not saving her, right? He was there to empower her. So he was purposely reminding her of her courage, of her pride, and giving her options. You don't have to go down there. We can take a different path. You're not going to be a punk. You're not going to be a wimp. It is okay. What is it that you need? And let's talk it through. And I'm here for you. I'm going to support you in this, and recognizing that this is her journey of empowerment and supporting her in that. And so there's that. And also in Froggy Fumangu, he talks about that. He talks about how he was very intentional about how he wanted to help and support his friend. And so he played music, because we know music is a calming and coping skill. He made her laugh, which we know laughter is great medicine to lighten that load, right? So again, all of these coping skills, we talked about them in the previous segment as well, that we utilize when it comes to forgiveness, but also making sure we utilize them here. Because the reality is, my books can go farther and touch more people than what I ever physically can. But I want people to have the resources that I give to the people and the children and the people of all ages. that I work with in person, because I can't have everybody as a client, but as an author, my books can still teach and provide.
Amazing. You are amazing.
So there we go.
Love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So, any final questions, comments? I know it's a late night. I thank y'all for hanging on with me, and I thank y'all for giving me the space to talk about it, because, as you know, I'm always pulling from everybody else. And so I thank you, Dr. Imani and Abigail, for holding it down with me. Anything else that you say, comment, question?
I would just say run it back again. Just let them know where they can purchase your books.
Okay. Well, I definitely encourage you to go to Amazon.com and you can purchase the books there. You can also send me an email if you'd like an autographed copy. I can do that and mail them out to you as well. The books retail for $15.99 plus tax comes to $16.94. I've been doing this for a while. And so, but also I will be at the Collingswood Book Festival in New Jersey this Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. So you can come on out. You know, I'm about to bust out in song. Come on, everybody. So you can come on out and meet me and get your copy, right? Get your autographed copy there. I will also be on the 19th of October at the Plymouth Meeting Mall. No. And I'll be there from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. So you can also come out and get your books there as well. So there's multiple ways to acquire these books. And I'm also available for book reads virtually as well as in person. And I think those are all the goodies.
Amazing.
And I got a box
Amazing.
today. If y'all want to see me do a quick unboxing, I don't know what's in it. So it came literally right before. So we're gonna see, because I've been waiting for some goodies. So y'all gonna see in real time what we got going on. I ordered Brother Emoji a shirt. He don't know, so we gonna find out. Y'all gonna find out before him. So here we go. So this is from Printiful. So
Amazing.
Good.
oh, yep, that does look good. So that's the first one. And then I got this one for myself. Oh, Dr. Imani, I can see you with this one on.
Oh, I love it. That is
Thank
That's
you.
nice.
Wait, look, and there's
It's
a little
nice.
emblem on the
Oh, I love
sleeve.
it.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like that. Yes.
So that one, and it's a good quality. So that's from Printiful, because I know I have to get this stuff being able to be done in bulk.
Yeah.
And then here is the piece de resistance. Y'all ready? Come on, give me drum roll. Give me some tambourine. Oh, I'm so excited. Y'all,
Let's look.
you ready? Wait, I don't know if I know how to change the shape. I was so busy playing. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh-oh. You ain't ready.
We are.
No, you not.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's beautiful. Nice.
Absolutely amazing. That's beautiful.
No.
Go ahead, Bunnie.
Oh wait, I haven't even seen it. Y'all done seen it. I ain't seen it yet.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's gorgeous. And it's a Sherpa. Look at that.
Oh, so comfortable.
Right.
I know.
Perfect for the fall right now.
Mm-hmm. See y'all later. Gotta go.
Amazing. So proud of you.
That is
Oh
so
my God.
pretty. They did an amazing job. Look at that.
Yes, that is amazing.
So yeah, so I have some new Froggy-T and Bunnie merch
Yay.
coming. So that literally that just came right before I hopped on the show. So I didn't even get a chance to open it until you saw the plastic till just now.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
thank y'all for sharing that with me.
Of course. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Exactly.
All right, y'all. So we're going to wrap it up. We know it's been a late night. Thank you all for hanging and jumping from side to side. Abigail, this was a wonderful first meeting. I don't know if we can top
Yes.
this. This was fantastic.
We'll have to meet again.
Yes, yes, we shall. And Dr. Imani, as always, I enjoy my time with you. Thank you. Thank you. So, y'all, be sure to check out their websites. Again, Abigail, please tell them your website.
It's forgivinggiftswellness.com.
All right. And Dr. Imani, tell them your stuff.
birdcancerfoundation.org.
All right, there you go. And mine is always AskDrWalls.com. Please be sure to subscribe to the Ask Dr. Walls 525 YouTube page. I will be back next Wednesday with a special guest at 12 p.m. on my Walls of Wellness podcast. Trust and believe you do not want to miss this healing episode. It is with Poe. Poe is going to teach and tell you about all the work that she does and her amazing journey into health and wellness. So be sure to join us. That's on Wednesday. What is that? The 9th at 12 noon. So until then, and hopefully you'll come see me this weekend out at Collingswood at the book festival. It's going to be outside. It's going to be a fabulous day. It'll be about 80 degrees and sunshiny. So there's a whole children's village. It's about 100 plus authors that'll be out there. So it's going to be a great day. So as always, until we meet again, God bless you all and continue to live your greatest life. See you, everybody. Good night.
Have a good night.